I'm 82, and I found my first love again after 50 years. That sounds like a beautiful thing to say. It sounds like one of those stories people like to hear. A second chance, a circle closing, something poetic. But it broke me. Not in a loud way, not in a way people notice, just quietly. The kind of breaking that happens when you realize something too late, and there's no one to blame but yourself. I'm telling you this because I don't have much time left to pretend it didn't matter. When you get to my age, you stop dressing things up. You stop telling yourself stories that make you feel better. You start seeing things as they were and as they are. I used to believe there was always time. Time to call her, time to go back, time to say what I never said. I told myself I was being practical, responsible, sensible. I had a job, then a better job, then a position people respected. I had obligations. People depended on me. That's what I said anyway. Not now, later, when things settle down, when I'm more secure, when the timing is right. I said that so many times it became the background noise of my life. Maybe you say it too. I thought love could wait, not disappear, just wait somewhere, like a book on a shelf you can come back to whenever you feel like it. I believed that if something was real, it wouldn't go anywhere. And for a long time, that belief made me feel calm, in control, like I understood how life worked. I walked away from her when I was young, not because I didn't love her, but because it didn't fit the plan I thought I needed to follow. The plan looked good on paper. Stable career, respectable life, no risks that could derail everything. I told myself I was making the smart choice, the adult choice, and I repeated it until I believed it. Years passed, then decades. I met other people. I built a life that looked fine from the outside. Nothing dramatic, nothing terrible, just fine. Do you know how dangerous fine is? It doesn't wake you up. It doesn't force you to ask questions. It just keeps you moving forward, one day at a time, without noticing what's slipping through your hands. I got used to it, used to not asking myself what I really wanted, used to putting things off, used to telling myself there would be a better time. There's always a better time, isn't there? That's what we tell ourselves. When I'm less busy, when I have more money, when things calm down, when I'm ready. But when does that moment actually come? If you're honest with yourself, how many things are you pushing into later? How many conversations are you delaying? How many chances are you quietly walking past? I didn't think I was losing anything. That's the part no one tells you. It doesn't feel like loss while it's happening. It just feels like life. I didn't see the turning point when it came. There wasn't a big moment, no dramatic event. No one sat me down and told me I was wasting something important. It was quieter than that. I retired. That was supposed to be the reward. That's what I had been working toward all those years. More time, freedom, space to finally do the things I had postponed. That's what I told myself. But when it actually happened, there was just silence. Mornings without urgency, evenings without purpose, no meetings, no deadlines, no one needing anything from me. At first, it felt strange. Then it started to feel empty. I remember sitting in my living room one afternoon, not knowing what to do next. Not because there was nothing to do, but because I had forgotten how to choose. Do you understand what I mean? When you spend your whole life reacting, responding, meeting expectations. You lose the ability to ask yourself a simple question. What do I actually want? I hadn't asked that in decades. That's when I thought of her again. Not in a nostalgic way, not like a passing memory. It was stronger than that, clearer. Her voice, her face, the way things felt when I was with her. It came back all at once, like it had been waiting. And suddenly, I had time. Time to look her up. Time to reach out. Time to say what I never said. So I did. It took me days to work up the courage. That surprised me. After everything I had done in life, everything I had faced, I was afraid of a simple message. What if she didn't remember me? What if she had moved on completely? What if I had waited too long? But I sent it anyway. And she replied. That part, I still think about. She remembered, not just my name, not just a vague idea of who I was. She remembered everything. We started talking, slowly at first, then more often, and it felt familiar, too familiar, like stepping back into something that had never really ended, just paused. That should have made me happy, but instead, it unsettled me, because I started to see something I hadn't allowed myself to see before. Nothing had been waiting, not really. Life had moved on, for both of us. Years had passed, entire lives had been lived in between. The version of me she knew didn't exist anymore, and the version of her I held on to wasn't real either. Do you know what it's like to realize you've been holding on to something that only exists in your memory? It's disorienting. We kept talking. We even met. And sitting across from her, I felt two things at the same time: recognition and distance. She was there, right in front of me, and yet everything that mattered most had already happened, 50 years earlier. That's when it hit me, not all at once, but slowly, like something settling into place. I hadn't just waited. I had replaced living with waiting. I kept thinking there would be a right time to return to what mattered, but waiting became the habit. And habits don't feel dangerous while you're inside them. They feel normal, comfortable, even responsible. Years went by without me noticing the pattern. Put it off, focus on something else, come back to it later, 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 later. Do you see how easy it is? 1 year becomes 5, 5 becomes 20, and you don't even remember when you made the decision. If you're honest with yourself, what are you repeating right now? What have you been telling yourself you'll get to one day? And what if that day doesn't come the way you expect? When I look back now, I don't see one big mistake. I see a pattern. Small decisions, quiet ones, the kind you don't question at the time. I didn't call when I wanted to call. I didn't visit when I had the chance. I didn't say what I felt when it mattered. Not once, not twice, over and over again. There were birthdays I thought about reaching out and didn't. Moments I picked up the phone and put it back down. Times I told myself, it's been too long now. It would be strange. So I waited. And the longer I waited, the harder it became. That's how distance grows. Not from one decision, but from many small ones. I missed entire chapters of her life. People she loved, people she lost, places she went, things she became. I wasn't there for any of it, and she wasn't there for mine. We talked about it, sitting across from each other after all those years. There were gaps we couldn't fill, long stretches of time that couldn't be explained in a conversation. You know what that feels like? To sit with someone who once knew you deeply and realize they don't know who you are anymore. And it's not their fault. It's yours. I thought I could return and pick things up where they left off, but life doesn't work that way. Time doesn't pause just because you're not ready. There were other things too. Trips I planned in my head but never took. Places I said I'd visit when things slowed down. They never slowed down the way I imagined. Conversations with my parents I avoided because they felt uncomfortable. Questions I never asked them. Stories I never listened to. Now they're gone, and those conversations are gone with them. I told myself I would have those talks later. There's that word again. Later. I didn't tell people what they meant to me when it would have mattered most. I assumed they knew. Maybe some of them did, but that's not the same as hearing it. I didn't set boundaries when I should have. I said yes when I wanted to say no. I followed expectations that weren't even mine and called it responsibility. All of it seemed reasonable at the time. That's what makes it so difficult to see while you're living it. Nothing felt like a mistake. It just felt like life. If you're honest with yourself, who are you not calling? What are you avoiding because it feels uncomfortable? What are you postponing because it doesn't fit neatly into your schedule? And how long have you been telling yourself the same thing? Not now. When things are better. When I have more time. Let me ask you something. When exactly is that supposed to happen? Who told you that life will pause and wait for you to be ready? Because it won't. It didn't for me. And now I sit here, at 82, having found something I once loved, only to realize I no longer have the time to live it the way it deserved. Do you think you're different? Do you think you'll somehow avoid this? Or are you doing exactly what I did, just earlier in the timeline? Here's what I've learned, what I can't unlearn now. It's embarrassingly simple. What mattered then, what matters now, isn't the things I worked for. It isn't the promotions, the plans, the possessions, the responsible choices. It's presence, being there, showing up, saying what needed to be said, even if it was uncomfortable. Feeling the people around you, not just noticing them. Choosing to act instead of waiting. When I met her again, I realized that all the years I thought I was safe, all the years I thought I was practical, I was just absent from my own life. I had been living in a waiting room, and 50 years had passed without my permission. I used to think that happiness came later, after I finished everything else, after the work was done, after the obligations were met, after I got my life in order. That's a lie. That's what we tell ourselves so we don't panic while we drift along. Here's the truth. The moment you have right now is all you're guaranteed. All the rest is a story. I'll tell you something else. It's not too late to notice. It's not too late to ask questions. It's not too late to change the pattern. But it will get later. Every day it gets later. And eventually, you run out of later. I can tell you what you shouldn't wait for. A perfect moment. A moment when you feel ready. A moment when the timing is right. There isn't one. You've already been waiting for it. I waited for it. And it came and went without me. So I ask you, who are you really living for? What are you postponing? And what will it cost you if you keep doing it? I wish someone had told me. I wish someone had been blunt, had said, stop waiting, speak now, go now, love now. It hurts to admit, but the hardest truth is this. You might not get a second chance. You might not find your first love again. You might not find anything you lost if you wait too long. Life is quieter than we expect. It's slower, but it doesn't pause. I don't know what choices you'll make after hearing me. I don't know what later you've been living in. I only know this. The moment you have now is real. It's yours, and the next moment is never guaranteed. So look around. Ask yourself what matters. Ask yourself who matters. Call them. Visit them. Say what needs to be said. Don't wait for a better time because there isn't one. There's only now. If you hear me, really hear me, let it sink in, and then choose. Choose differently than I did. Choose to show up. Choose to speak. Choose to be present. Because the alternative is 50 years of quiet regrets. And there's nothing more lonely than realizing you held love in your hands once, and you waited too long. I'm 82, and I finally understand. I hope you don't have to learn it the same way. Take a look around. Feel it. Choose now. That's all you really get.